There are moments in life when we face closed doors, unexpected delays, and sudden redirections that leave us feeling confused, frustrated, or even hopeless. We make plans, set goals, and work hard, expecting everything to go the way we envisioned. But then, without warning, things shift. The opportunity we were counting on disappears. The relationship we thought would last forever comes to an end. The path we were walking suddenly takes a turn we never saw coming. In those moments, it is easy to believe that life is unfair, that we are unlucky, or that we have somehow failed. But what if none of it is by accident? What if every closed door, every delay, every unexpected detour is actually part of something far greater than we can see? There are times when we pray for something with all our hearts, convinced that it is exactly what we need, only to watch it slip through our fingers. We feel rejected. We wonder why God didn't answer the way we expected. But often what we see as rejection is actually divine protection. We don't always know what lies ahead, but God does. He sees the dangers we cannot see. He knows when something will bring more harm than good. We may not understand it at the moment, but every door that closes is shutting us off from something that was never meant for us. Delays are another test of our faith. We live in a world that values speed and instant results. We want things to happen now. When we don't see progress as quickly as we expect, we assume that something is wrong. We start to doubt ourselves. We wonder if we have been forgotten. But God's timing is not our timing. What looks like a delay to us is often God preparing us for something greater. If He gave us what we wanted too soon, we wouldn't be ready to handle it. Growth happens in the waiting. Patience builds character. Strength is developed in the seasons when nothing seems to be happening. And when the right time comes, when God knows we are truly ready, the doors that need to open will open effortlessly. Redirection is one of the hardest things to accept because it means letting go of what we thought was the right path. We have a tendency to hold on tightly to our plans, afraid that if we lose control, everything will fall apart. But sometimes the thing we are clinging to is actually keeping us from something better. We resist change because it feels uncomfortable. We question why things aren't going our way. But if we could see what God sees, we would understand that every detour has a purpose. He is not taking us away from something good. He is leading us towards something better. Look back on your life and think about the moments when things didn't go as planned. At the time, you may have been disappointed, maybe even heartbroken. But now, with the perspective of time, you can see how those very moments led you to where you are today. Maybe the job you didn't get made room for the career you were truly meant to have. Maybe the person who walked away made space for someone who was always meant to be in your life. Maybe the dream that didn't come true was never meant to, because there was something even greater waiting for you. It is difficult to trust when we don't understand. It is hard to keep going when we feel like we are walking in the dark. But faith is about believing even when we don't see the full picture. It is about trusting that God is not abandoning us, but guiding us. Just because the path is different from what we expected doesn't mean we are lost. Just because things are taking longer than we hoped doesn't mean they aren't working out. Every step, even the ones that feel like setbacks, is leading us exactly where we are meant to be. When a door closes, we often try to force it open. We knock harder, we beg, we fight against it. But what if that closed door is actually a blessing? What if forcing it open would bring us pain that we don't yet see? Sometimes God allows things to fall apart because He knows they were never meant to last. He removes people from our lives who are only meant to be there for a season. He shifts our plans when we are walking towards something that isn't right for us. It may feel painful in the moment, but every ending is also a new beginning. We don't like to wait. We want answers now, results now, progress now, but some of the most beautiful things take time to grow. When a seed is planted, it spends weeks, even months, beneath the soil before it breaks through the surface. Just because you don't see growth right away doesn't mean nothing is happening. Sometimes the most important growth is happening beneath the surface where no one can see it. The waiting season is not wasted time. It is preparation. It is strengthening. It is God getting everything in place for the right moment. When things don't go as we planned, we often think we have failed. We assume we made a mistake, that we are being punished, or that we are not good enough. But what if those very disappointments are actually divine redirections? What if every time something didn't work out, it was because there was something even greater in store? We don't have to understand it all right now. We don't have to have all the answers. All we need to do is trust that God sees what we cannot see. There will be moments when you feel frustrated, when you want to give up, when you wonder if things will ever fall into place. But remember that what looks like an ending to you is often just the beginning of something new. What seems like a detour is actually a direct path to something better. God is not making mistakes with your life. He is guiding you, shaping you, and leading you to the place you are meant to be. Everything you have gone through has brought you to this moment. Every delay, every disappointment, every unexpected turn, it has all played a role in shaping your journey. And just because you don't see the full picture yet doesn't mean it isn't unfolding exactly as it should. Trust the process. Trust the journey. Trust that nothing is happening by accident. You are being led even when you don't realize it. Trusting God requires letting go of our need for control and surrendering the way we think things should unfold. As human beings, we rely on logic, patterns, and past experiences to determine what should happen next. We make plans based on what seems reasonable, and when life does not follow the script we have written in our minds, we feel uneasy. The unknown is uncomfortable. The unpredictable is frightening. But faith is not about knowing every step ahead of time. It is about believing that even when we cannot see the full picture, God can. There are moments in life when everything seems to be falling apart. We look around and see nothing but uncertainty. The job we depended on disappears. The relationship we thought was secure suddenly ends. The plans we made crumble before our eyes. In those moments, our natural reaction is to panic. We want answers. We want solutions. We want to know what happens next. But faith does not demand immediate understanding. Faith asks us to trust that even when things seem chaotic, there is a greater plan at work. Surrendering our understanding does not mean we stop thinking or planning. It means we stop believing that our way is the only way. It means we recognize that God's perspective is infinitely greater than our own. What seems like a failure to us may be a setup for something far better. What appears to be a detour may be the most direct route to where we are meant to be. Our vision is limited, but God sees the entire path. When we try to figure everything out on our own, we carry a weight we were never meant to bear. We stress over details that are beyond our control. We replay scenarios in our minds trying to predict every possible outcome. But there comes a moment when we must decide whether we will live in constant worry or whether we will place our trust in the one who has never failed us. Worry drains our energy. It steals our peace. But trust allows us to move forward with confidence, even when the way is unclear. Think about the times in your life when things did not go according to plan, yet somehow they worked out in ways you never expected. The opportunity that seemed perfect but did not happen may have saved you from something that would have harmed you. The disappointment that felt unbearable at the time may have been necessary to push you towards something greater. Looking back, you can see how things fell into place in ways that were beyond your own ability to orchestrate. That is proof that you are never walking alone. There are seasons when God asks us to step out in faith, even when we do not have all the answers. He may lead us in a direction that makes no sense to us at the time. We hesitate because we want clarity before we move. We want to see the entire journey laid out before we take the first step. But faith does not work that way. Faith is walking forward even when the destination is unclear. Faith is believing that God is guiding us even when the path is hidden. In the Bible, Abraham was told to leave his homeland and go to a place that God would show him. He did not receive the full plan in advance. He was not given a detailed map. he had to trust that with every step, God would reveal the next one. That is the essence of faith. Moving forward with trust, even when we do not know what comes next. If we only trust when we have all the answers, that is not faith, that is certainty. But true faith is trusting even when we do not understand. When life takes unexpected turns, we often ask why. Why did this happen? Why now? Why me? We search for explanations, hoping that if we can understand the reason, the pain will be easier to bear. But faith does not always come with explanations. There are times when God allows things to happen that we may never fully understand. And in those moments, we must choose whether we will cling to our need for answers or whether we will trust that God knows what He is doing. Surrendering to God does not mean giving up on our dreams or desires. It means releasing the need to control how and when those dreams unfold. It means trusting that if something is meant for us, nothing can take it away, and if something is not meant for us, no amount of striving will make it ours. This kind of trust brings peace because it removes the pressure of trying to force things to happen on our own. It allows us to rest in the assurance that God is working behind the scenes even when we cannot see it. Sometimes God's guidance does not make sense to those around us. We may feel called to take a path that others do not understand. People may question our decisions, asking why we are stepping into the unknown instead of staying in a place of comfort. But faith is not about seeking approval from others. It is about following the voice of God even when it goes against logic or expectation. If we wait for everyone else to agree with what God is leading us to do, we may never move forward. Trusting God requires patience. It requires waiting when we would rather rush ahead. It requires believing that delays are not denials, that silence is not absence, that unanswered prayers are not evidence of neglect. There is a timing for everything, and often what feels like a delay is actually God aligning things in ways we cannot yet see. If we receive something too soon, we may not be ready for it. If a door does not open right away, it may be because God is preparing something far greater than we originally asked for. Doubt will always try to creep in. It will whisper that nothing is happening, that we are alone, that things are not working out. But trust silences doubt. Trust reminds us that just because we cannot see what God is doing does not mean He is not working. Seeds grow beneath the soil before they ever break through the surface. Just because we do not see immediate results does not mean that growth is not happening. Fear is one of the biggest obstacles to trust. We fear making the wrong decision. We fear stepping into the unknown. We fear what might happen if we surrender control. But fear and faith cannot coexist. One will always overpower the other. When we allow fear to dictate our choices, we remain stuck in the same place. But when we choose faith, we move forward with courage, knowing that even if we stumble, God will catch us. Trusting God does not mean we will never face difficulties. It does not mean the road will always be smooth or that we will always get what we want. But it does mean that no matter what happens, we are never alone. It means that even in the uncertainty, we can have peace. Even in the waiting, we can have hope. Even in the storms, we can have confidence that we are being led by a hand far greater than our own.